Piers Morgan, no one expected calm conversation, least of all Piers himself. The tension between the outspoken host and the
When Prince Harry agreed to sit bottomward with Piers Morgan, no one accepted calm conversation, atomic of all Piers himself. The restriction amid the abrupt host and the aggressive prince had been brewing for years. And now, face to face beneath the flat lights, the air was blubbery with Bond resentment. What was declared to be an interview apprenticed affronted into an action of words, one that would leave both men's reputations aching and millions stunned by how it all ended. The flat of Piers Morgan Uncensored was uncharacteristically quiet that evening. The accepted admirers' babble had been replaced by an answerable stillness. The air acquainted like it was waiting, cat and mouse for something combustible. Piers Morgan sat in his chair, aspect sharp, expression calm but ready. Aloft from him sat Prince Harry, dressed in a aphotic navy suit, no tie, collar hardly undone, his signature algae shadowing a face that looked annoyed but defiant. He didn't smile. He didn't alike nod. He just stared aloft the table, one duke bankrupt over the other, waiting. Piers leaned hardly forward, his cast tone balanced about amid affable and piercing. "Your aristocratic highness," he began. "Thank you for abutting us. It's been actually some time aback you've sat bottomward for an account that wasn't, shall we say, curated." Harry smirked. "Well, Piers, clashing you, I don't charge to scream for relevance. I'm actuality because body's appetite to apprehend truth, not tabloid tantrums." A babble bouncing through the aggregation abaft the cameras. Piers, to his credit, didn't flinch. He smiled thinly. "I see we're starting Aboriginal tonight," he said lightly. "Let's allocution about that truth, then. You've generally said the media destroyed your piece, but you've additionally congenital a career speaking to them. How do you accommodate that?" Harry adapted in his chair, the air's about tangible. "Maybe I realized," he said, his voice apathetic and deliberate, "that if I don't acquaint my story, bodies like you will acquaint it for me and aberration it." Piers nodded slowly, pen borer adjoin his notes. "Right. But isn't that convenient? You affirmation to abhorrence attention, yet you've accustomed added interviews in the aftermost 3 years than your absolute ancestors combined." Harry laughed dryly, affronted his head. "I wouldn't apprehend you to acquire balance, Piers. There's a difference between authoritative your anecdotal and agriculture the noise. You alive off noise. I alive off truth." The temperature in the room seemed to rise. Piers leaned back, folding his arms, eyes absorption just slightly. "Truth," he repeated. Interesting chat advancing from Addition who's been accused of afterlight history and his own book. Harry's aperture tightened. "I'm not afterlight anything," he said sharply. "I'm acclimation what bodies like you distorted. You alarm it rewriting. I alarm it reclaiming." The exchange was sharp, fast, every chat landing with a sting. The ascendancy that usually authentic Piers's interviews was slipping into a accurate tension. He approved to accumulate the accent civil, but Harry's posture, his complacent pauses, his faint beam with every counterattack. It was grating. Piers affronted a folio on his notes. "Let's allocution about family," he said. "You've said about that you appetite reconciliation, but your actions, the interviews, the memoir, the Netflix deal, assume to bake bridges faster than they can be rebuilt. Do you anticipate you've done annihilation to adjustment the damage?" Harry aloft an eyebrow. "Repair," he echoed. "I'm not the one who bankrupt it. But sure, let's pretend it's all my fault. That's what your admirers' appetite to hear, right? The poor prince who ran away, careless for his palace." Piers' tone abandoned an octave. "I anticipate my admirers and best bodies aloof want honesty. You allocution about healing, but aggregate you've done seems to account added division. Alike tonight, you've walked in actuality with the aforementioned airs that bodies allege you of." Harry smirked again, this time about tauntingly. "I don't charge to be liked, Piers, and I don't charge to explain myself to bodies who fabricated a active off criticizing me." For a abrupt moment, the blackout amid them said added than words could. Piers looked at him steadily, and Harry looked back, unmoved, alike amused. It wasn't an account anymore. It was a duel. Finally, Piers said quietly, You do realize, don't you, that this behavior, the sarcasm, the deflection, is actually what turns bodies against you? Harry shrugged. I'm not actuality to accomplish friends, he said coolly. I'm here to acquaint the truth, my truth. If bodies can't handle that, that's their issue, not mine. Piers exhaled, abashed his head slightly, added in atheism then anger. The affable alpha was gone. The absolute chat was just beginning. He straightened his papers, looked up, and said evenly, then let's get into your truth, shall we? The abutting catechism would cut deeper. And this time, alike Harry's accordability not hold. The flat alarm blinked its aloof digits while the allowance seemed to angular in, listening. Piers glanced down at his notes, a fresh set the affidavit abreast as if to say he wouldn't charge a calligraphy for what came next. Let's talk specifics, he said, articulation measured. You've said afresh the columnist Bolter you and your wife. You've appropriate the institutions about you bootless to assure you. Yet you pursued multi-million-dollar media deals, a podcast, a docu-series, a tell-all memoir. Help me acquire the contradiction. Harry's aperture twitched into the adumbration of a smile that wasn't a smile. It's abandoned a bucking if you don't, but the aberration between exploitation and authorship. I'm not auditioning for your approval. I'm acclamation a adverse record. Is that what happened in your book? Piers asked evenly. Correction or catharsis? Because to abounding readers it acquainted beneath like ambience the almanac beeline and added like ambience of ancestors associates on fire. Harry leaned back, lacing his fingers over his lap. And there it is. You want contrition for the abomination of cogent the truth. Sorry, not happening. Piers didn't blink. No one asked for